Hi guys, yeah, and today we have the 3090 ROG Strix GPU, and I am going to be installing some awesome thermal amazingness on this thing. I'm going to take it apart, put new thermal pads on it, new paste, and do one more special mod, and let's see how it does. All right, let's start with the disassembly. First, you have these screws here. This screw right here does have a little plastic thing, but it will not void the warranty. Okay. So let's get started, and these screws first. They are like kind of springed on here. It's okay.
Please check its network connection and power supply.
Thank you, Alexa. Okay. And voila, we have these screws and these screws, which secure the front plate to this thing. These screws are also loaded with a little spring tensioner thingy. Ta-da. Just make sure when you get your screws, you like put them somewhere safe and nice and organized, which lets you remember where they are. And these ones have little springs on them. Ta-da. Okie dokie, we've got all 6 screws which attach the cooler to the back plate, and it is time to pull out the cooler very gently. And it is attached a little bit to the heatsink and it's sticky. Just be a little careful when you're doing this. And this thing pulls right up, just like that. Alrighty, and we have it. And this ROG Strix has 2 fan cables. They have little clips on them. So just slide your finger around and push the clip and pull it up. Now we're just pulling the cables. Make sure it is unlatched first. That's 1 and 2. Cool, nice. Okie dokie. Wow, the thermal paste job on this does not look very good at all. Not loving it. But as you can see, here's the thermal pads. And yep. Okie dokie. Well, now let's get the back plate off of this thing, because we are also going to apply thermal pads to the reverse side. The ROG Strix already has thermal pads on it, but we're going to apply better ones because memory junction temperature is going to be what we want to get to the best it could be. Alrighty, well, I'm going to clean this up. And well, first let's remove the back plate. Back plate is secured with these screws here, and yeah, Let's do it. A little bit bigger size screwdriver. These screws on the back plate are a little bit longer, so you can remember. There's like 3 kinds of screws on this. The spring ones, the ones for the fan, if you like, and these ones, long ones. And back plate is also secured with screws attaching right here. There's only a few of them, but you'll be able to see them. Actually, it doesn't actually look like there are on this one. Ready? Now that all these screws are attached, you're gonna want to get this thingy right here, which is attached to this plastic thing, and you can kind of see where they are attached. The side ones are the ones you want to get, and this one there are 5. So perfect. All right, now we've got all the screws removed from this metal plate thing, and this should just slide up like so. Ta-da! Got it. Alrighty, and here we have it. The back plate is ready to be detached. Before I do that, I'm actually going to clean these up. I want to do it one side at a time, because I don't want to like put it like this while I'm cleaning this and this. I want the back plate on so while I'm cleaning these. And okay, I'm going to clean these up and start the video. Well, how I clean these is with good old Q-tips and 91% alcohol, and you're just gonna want to clean it till it's as clean as it gets. You're gonna want to clean everything, clean the processor and the chips where the heat pads were. And here's a little tip when for when you clean the everything. Best way to do it is if you're near to cleaning heat sinks, you put the Q-tip in alcohol, make it like as wet as possible because it will evaporate. And you want to get like a lot first, right? And ta-da. The next side, you want to get as much as possible, and ta-da. Alright. And you just want to like roll it around. You don't want to put too much pressure on it like at first, and you want to make sure if you put a little bit of pressure, that does have a lot of alcohol on it. And yep, you use a lot of Q-tips for this, and you should probably spend like at least like 20-30 minutes cleaning these things. That's it all. Alright, when it is mostly clean, right, you can see mostly clean, you can like look at it and you can see like any smudges and imperfections on it, and you want to like make sure you get all the smudges and imperfections one more time. And when you've got all the smudges and things you can see visibly, you want to do it one more time like this one. It kind of looks like it's got fingerprints on the main processor. And do it again, make sure you get it like nice and smooth and shiny and buffed, and it will be absolutely perfect and ready. You're going to want to do the same thing for all the memory chips and these things and everything which had the thermal pads on. Things to remember while you're cleaning these things is there's like little gaps between the memory, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put the Q-tip in alcohol and soak the area with alcohol, and you're going to want to use a toothpick or like one of these things and gently get the stuff loosened, and it's not in the crevice, and clean it up with a Q-tip, and ta-da. You want to get these things as clean as possible. You can look at them in the light, like on the side, and make sure that it looks nice and clean and doesn't have any blemishes on it. Okie dokie. And let's get these cleaned up and let's continue. And we have everything nice and clean. I cleaned all the memory pads, everything. Thermal pads are on, and both sides of the thermal pads until I look at it in the light and it is nice and shiny and perfect. Okie dokie. We already have the fasteners removed from the back plate, and what we're going to do is very carefully make sure all the screws are removed from it, and gently detach this thing. It's held on with sticky stuff, and you want to be careful here because this is PCB, which is fragile. And yeah, you want to gently do it so that the sticky pads come off gently. So you want to make sure that the PCB does not bend, and ta-da, this peels like this. And ta-da, here we have it. Here are the memory, well, here's the rear memory RAM for the graphics card, and here we have it. This is the beautiful main graphics card, 3090 Strix. All right, well, let's do it. Let's get the backplate cleaned as well, because we are going to put thermal pads on both sides. Now, when you're cleaning this side, you are going to want to put something right here. So this is not like against the table. I'm actually gonna put like a cloth here, and just make sure you clean this side again before you put the thermal pads on it, because it might have a little bit of cloth fiber on it. Okie dokie, let's do it. Top towels here for the Lambo, which should work perfectly. I have the microfiber towels, and I'm going to pretty much do the same thing. Oh my gosh, what? Wow, wonderful, beautiful, beautiful job right here. Okay, well, I'm gonna do the same thing I did to the front side, cleaning everything which had thermal pads on it. You have this here, which lets you make sure you have what needs to be cleaned, and yep, let's get to it. Alrighty, we have everything clean and perfect, and I clean it until you can do this on it, and there isn't any residue. All right, perfect, nice, everything's cleaned, and we have our thermal pads. I am using the best thermal pads, which are the G-Lid Ultimate thermal pads. And yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like put these things like kind of on top of it, and I'm gonna use an X-Acto knife and make them like the exact size they need to be. Okie dokie, let's do it. A thermal pad right here. I'll give you a size guide to make sure you have which thermal pads go where, which will be at the link in the description. And I'd love a comment if you like the video, because it helps the channel a lot. Thank you very much. And all right, we're gonna put the thermal pad right here, and we're gonna line it up, and with the edges on the thermal pad, I'm gonna slice it like this, and stop. Okie dokie. Let's do it. Table, fine. Okay. This is going to be right to the edge there. Little overlaps, okay. Okie dokie, and now we have our thermal pad, the right size, the size that it needs to be, and we are going to put our thermal pad on like so. Put one end on first, and ta-da, beautiful, just like this. When you apply pressure, you want to make sure that there aren't any creases on it. When we apply pressure, or when this everything's put together, it'll mold into place perfectly. Okie dokie, I'm gonna put every thermal pad on, and let's do it. Yeah. And I have the thermal pads on the back plate, and everything's clean and perfect. I'm gonna dust this one more time and make sure there aren't any little cotton fibers. There aren't. And it is ready. Make sure never to get your fingerprints on these things if possible. Okie dokie, let's do it. And these are kind of sticky, but the 5mm ones aren't as sticky. So what you're gonna wanna do is put it on it like this. Make sure you like apply equal pressure and make sure it's all lined up before you push it down so that everything will be perfect. All right, ta-da, looks good. And you're gonna wanna look in there, make sure that all the thermal pads are making contact. Looks good to me. And pretty much ready to screw back together. All right, let's do it. Perfecto, and we have put it back together. You have all these screws here. Silver ones on the silver and black ones on the black, and these two are for the little GTX thingy, which hinders airflow, which shouldn't be there. But yeah, well, ta-da. All right, now it's time to wipe the front things down again. Make sure there aren't any blemishes on them or dust. And we'll apply thermal pads and thermal compound on the GPU. For the thermal compound, I have the this stuff, Noctua NT-H2, which is like apparently the best non conductive, doesn't conduct electricity, thermal compound on the market. And yeah, awesome. It's a nice little thing, and I'll show you just the right amount to put on here. And yep, let's get to it. So it comes with the special cleaning wipes, which I'm going to clean the GPU's processor with one more time. And yeah, probably everything with eventually. I guess this is like a nice amount of cleaning stuff to clean a lot of stuff, but Q-tips and alcohol works similar way. This is also alcohol. It's like the same exact thing, pretty much. Okie dokie, and ta-da! Nice, clean, and beautiful. I'm gonna actually put these down as well as the memory. This stuff. Make sure that it is as close to perfect as it can be. Because the cleaner it is, the better heat will transfer to the heat sinks. All right, and you are going to want to dry it. These things don't come with the drying cloth. But yeah, to dry it, just use your handy dandy Q-tip, and ta-da! They actually put more residue of dried up water and alcohol on there than have regularly, but it's okay. Make sure you wipe the residue off before you put the thermal pads on, and you will be perfect. Awesome, okie dokie. And well, I am going to put the thermal pads on everything here, and we'll be pretty much ready to put it back together and do some tests. Yeah, I'm excited. Awesome, perfect, yay. And I've got the thermal pads on the memory and on the back plate for these things, and it's pretty much ready. Time to apply the thermal paste. All right, for the Noctua, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to create a crisscross pattern. For these, it's a GPU, and it's okay if you put too much thermal paste. You don't want to put too little for sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this much. I'm going to make it cross like this at first. And like this. And I'm gonna fill in the gaps Spread it around a little bit. Nice, looks perfect. And I'm gonna cover the edges of it. You don't need to go all the way to the edges of it because when you smush it down, it's gonna cover the edges. But yeah, nice. I've got a nice amount of thermal compound on my GPU. Looks beautiful. Okie dokie. And it is pretty much ready. It's time to put on the heatsink and plug in the fans and time to give this thing some tests. All right, for the thermal pads, you want to make sure they're like stuck down a little bit. Don't touch them too much, but make sure they're pushed down. And let's do it. Okie dokie. Now, I think I want to put this on the thermal paste like this. All right, and have our fan cables here, which we're going to want to plug in. Clips like this, and clips like this. Okay. All right. Adjust the camera a little bit so you can see this. All right. You plug in your fans first. Careful of the thermal pads, making sure they stay in place, so you don't have to adjust them again. It's okay. And it's kind of heavy. This weigh like at least 10 pounds. Okay. First, let's get this fan in this. Ta-da. Alright. And put this right here. And plug in the second fan, like so. It's angled like this. Got it. Okie dokie. And let's do it. And I want to make sure everything is oriented properly. And slowly let it glide into place. And you have to line up the little screws. Should just slide in. And oriented properly. You see like two of them? You got the other two, pretty much. Alright. Okie dokie. And she's looking good. Got the screws in place. And ta-da! Pretty much time to screw everything back together. Okie dokie. Well, when screwing this thing back together, have these little spring screws. You're gonna want to make sure that the little springs are on the screws. Right? And you're pretty much gonna want to put this and throw. Make sure that you have the right size screwdriver for it. And you're gonna want to do like a crisscross pattern like this, because this is what's going to tighten the thermal paste and like smush the thermal paste evenly. Okay. Just barely get each side in, one at a time. Ta-da, ta-da. Alrighty, and it's crisscross pattern. When they're all even, I'll like turn it like 5 times. Turn it 5 times on each side, just like so. You're gonna want to do this until it is just like barely hand tight. You don't need to make this way too tight. Like this, you'll feel it. You don't need to tighten it any more than it's the point where it gets to be tight. Da, awesome, perfecto, okie dokie. And we are going to want to put these screws back in place. The front 2 spring screws, which also help balance the GPU because it isn't all the way tight to the thing. It's like spring loaded. You don't want to tighten it too much because the thing will like bend more. Okay, just like hand tight, not even. So that's secured. I'm going to tighten these similarly because they're also spring screws. And ta-da! Looks good. Okie dokie. And we are going to want to put these screws on the mounting bracket again. And she will be ready for action. Okie dokie, I'm going to do this real quick and plug it in and see how it does.